It was the 24th of March, 2020. I sit in my room studying for my final exams and working my ass off to graduate from my high school, Gymnasium Novum in Voorburg, when the Dutch Minister of Education suddenly announces a breaking news press conference. At 10 o'clock in the morning, he makes public that all final high school exams won't take place due to COVID-19. And based on my results on that moment, I could drop everything. No school, no studying, no exams. I just graduated. Well, celebration time, right? Well, just a moment later, I had mixed feelings. Because I also couldn't prove myself or show that I have the brains to finish high school. And I had to cancel my graduation party, my graduation trip to Albufeira in Portugal. And I wasn't even able to see my own friends. What do I do now? The world was in lockdown. My name is Brink, and this is how I turn it around. First things first. So I posted a picture on Instagram stating that I graduated. And then I had plenty of time to think. Because I had decided beforehand that I would take a gap year after I finished high school. A year of exploring myself and deciding in what direction to move or what study to start. And the sky was the limit. I would create my own wings. I wanted to become a ski teacher in Austria or go backpacking in Southeast Asia. Or I wanted to visit my uncle in Canada, who is a successful entrepreneur. This was all taken away from me. Despite the fact that traveling was taken away from me, I could still travel the world through the internet. And the 2018 TED Talk by Mark van der Heijden sparked an idea within me, inspiring me to explore the world in a different way, by the power of the internet. This guy in his 20s rented himself out to big companies across the globe via a Facebook post. And all he asked for in return for his services was a flight ticket and an accommodation. I decided to do something similar and post a request on my LinkedIn. But I have to give this project a catchy name. And it became a baggage stage. Oh yeah, that's English. In Dutch it sounds way better, a bagagestage. A bagage is Dutch for luggage, and a stage is Dutch for internship. Because that's what I wanted to do. Gain some extra luggage for in my backpack during small internships. I wrote on LinkedIn that I am an enthusiastic student who just graduated and that I wanted to learn a lot. I wanted to explore various jobs, sectors and companies, and I was open for everything. At some point, the Dutch media picked it up and they wrote an article about me in the newspaper, the Telegraaf. That's the newspaper with the highest reach in the Netherlands. And then it started to roll. Eventually, my post was viewed over 100,000 times. And I visited over 120 different people. I got invitations from small businesses to CEOs and from big corporations to smaller entrepreneurs. The first visit I did was a DISC analysis. That's a personality test, for those of you who don't know, where you learn a lot about yourself and your dominant behavior styles. And the most important thing I learned there is that the so-called I style, or the yellow color, is most dominant for me. And this stands for social, curious, interaction, or inspiration. And they told me that this could help me during my visits, because it's ideal for building relationships and creating positive energy. So I thought, okay, this can come in really helpful if I know how to apply it effectively during my visits. And so I went on my journey during my gap year. I spent a week in a Michelin star restaurant of Jamie van Heijen without any cooking experience. I just sent a direct message via Instagram. And there I learned how important it is, how important the hierarchy in the chef's kitchen is. And I learned to appreciate many new interesting tastes. And I also learned that becoming a chef is definitely not for me. I co-organized a boot camp for pregnant women, where I learned what a good breathing technique is to reduce stress in your body. And even though I'll never bear a child, I also learned what a good position for your body is to give a pleasant childbirth. I was really open to anything and anybody, and I thought the more people I meet, the better. One of the most wise advices I got was at the Dutch army where I spent a day. They told me, teach your whole project, it's fine, it's good to look around everywhere, but at some point you have to make a choice and don't look back. Just go for it and don't hesitate. So that's what I did. After over 120 visits, I was finally convinced what I wanted to study. And I now study technology, policy and management at the University of Technology in Delft, where everything comes together for me. The multidisciplinary approach and the real world relevance. But in my gap year, I have learned so much more. And there are 3 key takeaways that I want to share with you today. The first one is, everybody is willing to help you if you show honest curiosity. I experienced that many people just like to talk about themselves. And by the way, that's also the reason that I'm standing here today. By show of hands, who of you has ever experienced difficulty when reaching out to new people? I see some hands. Well, for those people, please know that everybody is very approachable and is really willing to help you if you show honest curiosity. I wrote some successful young businessmen of the top 100 young millionaires list, and I got in contact with quite a few. They all wanted to share their journey with me, their wisdom, mistakes they made, the books they read, and their secret of how they eventually became successful. And also very specific things like how to raise capital or how the whole financing of their company works. And that was all completely new to me because you don't learn such things at school. So please know, dare to ask and just go for it. The second thing I learned is making money is not dirty. If you know that you can make a lot of social impact with that in the world. Because to be honest, before I turn 30, I want to be worth 5 million. But that's really not just for myself. You might think, how are you going to do that? Well, I now have a network and I have a lot of inspiration. So my next step is to find a product and build a business around it. But it's really not just for myself. I will have a lot of social impact in the world with that business and with the money I make. The third thing I learned is, I think everybody can be successful in his or her own way if you build your network. And now you might think, okay, well, good for you, but where do I start? Well, I started at the age of 16 when I was elected mayor of Madurodam. And as you might see, I still had some hair back then, but that's a story for another time. Madurodam is a theme park in The Hague, and every year they elect one student from The Hague as the mayor. And the first one was our beloved Princess Beatrix. And during my year, it was such a great year in which I met many remarkable people. And I got the tip to create a LinkedIn account and add everybody I met at events. And so I did, from politicians to mayors, and from top sporters to musicians. I add everybody, and I think that's one of the main reasons why my gap year was so successful. They all reposted my request at the beginning of my gap year. And networking is not difficult at all. And it can actually start right here and right now. So let's all take 30 seconds to introduce yourself to the neighbor behind you. So pair up. The first row can pair up with the row behind you, the third row with the fourth row. And just ask what he or she does or why she is here. Time starts now. Okay, time's up, time's up. Everybody. Do you feel how easy that is? This is networking. And you are welcome to join my network too, of course. You can scan the... You can scan the QR code on the screen, and who knows what will come out of it. But there's one condition I make. You really have to be curious and ask me an interesting question, so I'll ask you an interesting question as well. So we can really connect and build a valuable network. Do you remember how I felt? On the 24th of March 2020, miserable, alone, not knowing what to do. Looking back over the past years, I've learned that you can change by changing your habits, your input, and your mindset. And you can really achieve your goals. So I want you to think of someone you want to drink a cup of coffee with. Maybe that's Michelle Obama, Max Verstappen, or Greta Thunberg. Who knows? The world is waiting for you. So go get them. Thank you.